Well, meanwhile, Twitter is apparently now adding more content guardrails, according to the Wall Street Journal. This is a potential flashpoint with the company's prospective new owner, Elon Musk, who has said he wants the social media platform to dial back on moderating tweets. The company said on Thursday it plans to slow what it deems misinformation around crises including armed conflicts, natural disasters, and public health emergencies, and to elevate credible information. So when you can't win, rig the game, I guess is the idea here. By the way, didn't we already see this? There's never been any problem with Twitter or social media restricting the free flow of information around controversial issues like public health emergencies. I mean, they would never get that wrong. It's not as though they would immediately just begin to censor people who had serious questions to ask about the age striation of COVID or the source of where COVID came from in the first place or lockdown policy. It's not as though they would ever just, censor people or ban them for making basic observations about that sort of stuff. Twitter said it defines a crisis as a situation in which there is widespread threat to life, physical safety, health, or basic subsistence. The company said it would determine whether claims are misleading through verification from multiple credible, publicly available sources, including evidence from conflict monitoring groups, humanitarian organizations, journalists, and others. That's going to go great because all of those people are super duper trustworthy. I mean, you can listen to like Human Rights Watch, which is not like a wild left-wing source. And you can listen to like the journalists of the New York Times. That'd be good, probably. This will always be good. Hopefully, if Elon Musk does end up going through with his purchase of Twitter, then he will put his stop to that. Speaking of which, Elon Musk suggested the other day that when he said he was not going to vote Democrat, there would be a wave of attacks on him. Well, the wave has begun. So according to The Verge suddenly, within like a day of this, has come up with the news that SpaceX reportedly paid $250,000 to cover up Elon Musk's sexual misconduct. According to The Verge, SpaceX reportedly paid a flight attendant $250,000 to ensure she didn't speak out or sue the company after Elon Musk allegedly exposed himself and propositioned her for sex, according to a report from Business Insider. According to one of the flight attendant's friends, the alleged victim worked as a crew member on a SpaceX corporate flight. During one of the flights, the attendant told her friend Musk asked her for a full-body massage in his room. Reportedly, this was not unusual, and SpaceX had encouraged the attendant to get a masseuse license. During the massage, Musk allegedly removed the sheet that was covering the lower half of his body, showing her his penis. While rubbing her leg, he reportedly offered to buy the attendant a horse if she would do more. The story notes the attendant rode horses. The allegations were relayed to Insider by one of the flight attendant's friends, who was asked by the attendant's attorney to sign a declaration backing up the claims in 2018. The friend told Insider the attendant refused to carry out any sexual acts on Musk and that she was really upset following the flight. The friend also said SpaceX cut down on the number of shifts she was given following the incident, which the attendant saw as a sign of retaliation. Apparently, the attendant filed a complaint to the SpaceX HR department in 2018, saying her career with the company had suffered because of her refusal. The company took the complaint to a mediator, not a court or an arbitrator, and signed the attendant to a $250,000 severance agreement, barring her from saying anything bad about Musk or his companies, including SpaceX and Tesla. This included talking about the payment itself. Musk apparently said there was a lot more to the story. He said it was a politically motivated hit piece. He had warned that he would be the victim of such tricks. Now, let me just say this. A $250,000 settlement, when you're talking about alleging that one of the richest people on planet Earth propositioned you for sex and then retaliated against you via his company, that is called a nuisance settlement. Okay, that is what that is right there. Just anybody who knows corporate law understands this. Just the legal bills on something like this outstrip $250,000 easily, by far. The bad publicity at a trial outstrips the cost of this, by far. And if she really had the goods, and if she had witnesses and she had any evidence whatsoever, if any of that had been the case, you think that her lawyers would have told her to settle for $250,000 from Elon Musk? Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? Okay, what this really sounds like from outside indicators, the indicator mainly being the size of the settlement. Like if he had settled for $5 million, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty bad. Like that's big enough that if it were untrue, he probably would have fought it. But a $250,000 settlement that she takes to walk away, when she is alleging that he literally exposed himself to her and asked her to perform a sexual act on him and then retaliated against her in terms of her job, I have a hard time believing that story would have held together in court. Let's put it that way. Because no one settles for $250,000 with that fact pattern if that fact pattern has any evidence to it or if that fact pattern is true. That is weak tea. The friend of the flight attendant said that the attendant told her about the misconduct while they were on a hike together shortly after the London trip. The friend described the attendant as distraught and visibly shaken. She was really upset, the friend said. She didn't know what to do. Again, she could be telling the truth. I'm just saying that the timing of this story is really, really suspicious. Not only is the timing suspicious, the $250,000 severance payment is not enough to pay for credible allegations of this sort. The friend told Insider she decided to come forward without consulting the flight attendant, which that's a great friend right there, because when you blow the settlement, that's always good. Because as a survivor of sexual assault, she felt an obligation to share what she'd been told about Musk. Unlike the flight attendant, her friend is not bound by any non-disclosure agreement. She said, I absolutely felt a responsibility to come forward with it, especially now. He's the richest man in the world. Someone with that level of power causing that kind of harm and then throwing some money at the situation, that's not accountability. There are predators all over the world, but when someone is particularly wealthy and powerful, they literally have systems that are like a machine working for them to set them up to be able to do whatever they want. Remaining silent, said the friend, would make her complicit. You become part of the machine that allows someone like Elon Musk to continue to do the horrible things that he has done. The friend said, her primary concern was clearly her client. She said before she reached out to the Insider, she called the attorney who represented the victim, and the attorney told her that she was free to speak to the press, but sharing any documents could put the flight attendant at risk. She recalled the attorney saying the confidentiality provisions are BS, and that if any other women have been victimized by Musk, they ought to come forward. But the attorney urged the friend not to share the declaration. The attorney did not respond to requests for comment. So, again, I find this highly non-convincing. Let's put it that way. The media are trying to now cobble together an entire case against Elon Musk. They're trying to take him out politically. None of this is a shock. The media do this sort of stuff all the time. They're trying to drag up allegations that there was sexual harassment at a Tesla factory where men at the factory ogled women and remarked on their clothes, according to complaints, leading some women to wear baggy outfits and use stacks of boxes to obstruct the views of leering coworkers. Again, I don't even know, how do you evidence this? How do you evidence this? But apparently evidence is no longer really necessary in any case. So there is that. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Ben Shapiro Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date with all our future content.